established a national rental assistance scheme seeded with 100 million Ghana cedis to provide low-interest loans to eligible Ghanaians. On housing as well, the NPP said they have been copied because of rent control. Now, in the creative arts, the NPP said they intend to construct modern large-seating theatres in every regional capital. The NDC said they will commence a program to construct and resource centers of national culture in regions where they do not exist. Also, there are ongoing projects. Then there are also tax waivers. So basically, NPP says, baby, All
right. Still on manifesto issues, NDC promises more tax cuts. That's the Chronicle front page. The next government of the opposition National Democratic Congress intends to, from 2021, exempt small businesses entirely from corporate and personal income tax, according to the manifesto of the party, which was launched in Accra on Monday. According to the manifesto, corporate income tax for medium-sized companies will be reduced from the current 25% to 15%. Under the economic sector, the NDC has promised a private sector tax initiative, which included the above mentioned. Among other tax cuts, NDC says it will do that because it recognizes that micro, small, and medium enterprises, or MSMEs, contribute significantly to private sector development in Ghana. Listing the tax initiatives for the private sector, the NDC manifesto said small businesses will be exempted entirely from corporate and personal income tax. Corporate income tax for medium-sized companies will be reduced from the current 25% to 15%. And newly established medium-sized companies that employ up to 20 staff will be exempted entirely from the payment of corporate tax for 1 year.
We'll continue drilling down into the manifestos on the voters' diary on radio and television, but still on the manifestos. An economist is saying both NDC and NPP manifestos are disconnected from reality. This story is on myjoyonline.com. An economist has cast doubt on the actualization of both the governing NPP and the opposition NDC manifestos should they win the election. Professor Godfred noted in an interview that the economy has been badly affected by the current COVID crisis. Therefore, raising resources and funds to achieve the numerous promises listed by both parties would be very difficult. Here's a quote. The manifestos didn't recognize COVID-19, that these are unusual times we are talking about Ghana's economy, where recovery will go beyond 3 years. We are not talking about growth post-COVID and all of that. So I see a big disconnect between the reality on the ground right now and the medium-term outlook and the manifestos we are considering. So his specialist guy is saying, your promises, you need money, and you don't seem to have the resources. Now let's go still on politics. Baumia is in the upper parts of the country. He said a few things, assuring of government's commitment to ensuring violence-free elections. This is on citynewsroom.com. And you have other stories on...
Yes, disband vigilante groups.
Yes.
That's on the front page of the Daily Graphic. This one, the Peace Council. The National Peace Council has called on political parties to strictly adhere to the roadmap adopted to help eradicate political vigilantism from the country. A member of the governing board of the MPC, Apostle Kwejo Upokonyina, advised political parties that were still engaging the services of vigilantes to disband them before the December 7 elections. We use this opportunity to call on political parties which are still harboring any vigilante groups or their remnants after the ban to the passage of the Vigilantism and Related Offences Act to take immediate steps to complete the disbandment process before the December 2020 general elections.
I was actually going to get you to read me some of the Baumia stories and then some other campaign stories, because Akufo-Addo is also in Sydney East somewhere.
And other parties are also...
People are in different places. Just give us a wrap-up of where they've been going to.
Okay, so Dr. Baumia, to Mahama's hometown is where he's been going. Dr. Baumia receives rousing welcome at Mahama's hometown. Hometowns of presidential candidates are normally no-go zones for opponents, but Vice President Mahamudu Baumia defied the odds and stormed Bole, the hometown of former President John Dramani Mahama, to round off his 4-day tour of the northern regions. What was meant to be a private visit turned out to be a stunning experience as the people offered Dr. Baumia a tumultuous welcome. Scores of youth met him on the outskirts of the town and led him into the town. As his entourage slowly headed to the Nas Palace, the people, young and old, poured out in their numbers onto the streets following him to the palace. He said the 2020 election is about records and sustaining the massive and inclusive development social interventions that the President Akufo-Addo has initiated in his first term.
Who else is where?
Well, a lot of campaign stories happening. Let's talk PNC a bit. That's on page 17 of the Daily Graphic. PNC Congress Committee sets filing fees. With 89 days to the 2020 presidential and parliamentary polls, the People's National Convention is still embroiled in controversy over filing fees that should be paid by people seeking to contest the flag bearer and other national office positions. A statement released by the Secretary of the Congress Committee, Mr. Suleiman Aseidu, said the committee had agreed that the filing fees set by NEC, which were lower than what was announced by the leader of the party, and the compromise fees announced by the Council of Elders would apply. So that is going on there. Now, if you...
Okay, still on campaign trail, NDC's running mate has also been speaking to women, and she's basically saying that their manifesto will solve Ghana's problems. Running mate for NDC, Professor Jane Anopokwajiman, has said the party's 2020 manifesto is uniquely tailored to tackle all the problems facing ordinary Ghanaians. Addressing a group of women or former women appointees of the NDC, Professor Pokwajiman was hopeful that Ghanaians would buy into their manifesto and vote massively for the NDC in 2020.
Okay, let me change gears now, Bernard, and do one education story quickly.
Oh, okay. I thought Kokui had the last one.
Oh, for Nana Jane.
No, anybody campaign.
The president.
Yes, let's do
Senate East.
Yes,
okay.
Before we come to other
let's
stories.
Let's go there. All right.
Because he's also been touring 3 regions in the BA, former BA, Bono East, Bono, and Ahafo.
Spending 6 days there.
Yes, and if you go to the GNA, for example, they say president canvasses for votes in Senate constituencies. And in fact, if you go to Star News, there's a story that a chief says the vote there is even guaranteed. You shouldn't even ask. So let me do the first one. So President Akufo-Addo on Tuesday appealed to the chiefs and people of Bono East region to vote for him and the MPP in the upcoming elections. He said in about 3 months, Ghanaians will go to the polls and implore the people to remember the hard work he had done to retain his government in power. He was addressing the number of chiefs and people of Kajaji to kickstart his 5-day working visit in Bono East and Ahafo. He specifically mentioned that the electorate in Sydney East, Sydney West, and Peru East and West had since 1992 voted one way, saying it was time the people changed their voting pattern in favor of the MPP in the forthcoming elections. Okay. Now, then here's a response on a different website. You are assured of 4 more years already. Sydney East Chief to Akufo-Addo. Now, Nana Osori Krunku, the third, the acting president and Chidomhini of Nkomi traditional area in Sydney East and Bono East region, says the chiefs and people of his traditional area are confident that the people of Ghana will give President Akufo-Addo and the MPP the victory in the 2020 polls. According to him, in the run-up to the 2016 elections, then candidate Akufo-Addo promised to create new regions from the existing ones, and true to his word, 6 new regions have been created, from which the Bono East region was carved out from the old BA. Indeed, because of your exemplary leadership in Ghana, your policies have affected every part of Ghana, and therefore the 4 more years there. I'm not quoting him fully, but essentially that's what he's saying.
The finder captures the same story.
Okay.
And the chief also said that in times past, our railway sector was always in complete disarray. Today, our railway sector has been revived. Trains are plying routes from Accra to Tema and so on. This is a great thing for Ghana. And then he talked about free SHS as well, reducing the financial burden on parents and allowing students to have education at JHS level and to continue.
Yeah, talking about education, but at BEC, we've had WASI, now we're going to write BEC. That's on Monday. And on page 16 of the Daily Graphic says that the West African Examinations Council has declared its readiness to conduct this year's BEC, taking into consideration all the security measures and COVID-19 safety protocols. All the question papers have been produced under tight security under the surveillance of the Ghana Police Service and WAEC Security. Head of the National Office of WAEC, Mrs. Wendy E. Adilamte, said at a press conference yesterday ahead of the start of the examination on Monday, September 14. A total of 531,705 candidates, made up of 269,490 males and 262,286 females, are expected to write the BECE.
And speaking of the BECE, Godfred, I know you'll love this one. So, 2020 BECE, Okaikwe Central MP donates mathematical sets to candidates. Does that sound familiar? Mathematical sets. Okay.
Why aren't you supposed to give free math sets, Bernard?
Well, okay.
$3.2 million spent on math sets.
Well, this MP is doing it from his own pocket. So it means, well, who knows where the math sets are or who they were given to. The Member of Parliament for the Okaikwe Central constituency in the Greater Accra region, Patrick Yabuama, yesterday presented over 1,400 branded pieces of mathematical sets to students taking part in this year's Basic Education Certificate Examination, BECE. Over 1,000 students from both public and private schools within the area benefited from the MP's kind gesture. The annual gesture, according to information, formed part of the MP's way of enhancing quality education within the constituency. In his address, the MP, who also doubles as Deputy Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, advised the students to take their studies seriously to help them pass their examination.
But Bernard, we really need to look into this because during the WASI itself, questions were raised about where the math sets that had been procured in Parliament were, because some of the students said they didn't get the math sets.
Yeah. Let's go to Ejapa. Government gambling on value of Ejapa royalties. This is CSOs. There's also a few more stories on Ejapa in different places.
Yeah.
So let me give
I
that
have
one.
2.
Okay.
Ejapa is Ghana's post-COVID-19 trump card to economic recovery. This on from the Daily Statesman. If you go to page 2 of that paper, with economies globally being confronted with uncertainties related to the coronavirus-backed pandemic, gold-backed exchange-traded funds have seen 7 consecutive months of positive flows as of June. To this end, National Blue Ocean Strategy Institute has predicted that the decision by the Ghanaian government to invest its mineral royalties on the Ghana and London stock exchanges could be the trump card to saving the country from its economic woes post the novel coronavirus pandemic. Now, according to it contends that the Ejapa royalties transaction may present the government the best window of opportunity to launch the minerals initiative, which is attracting so much interest. However, if you go to the Herald, they are saying that American advisors on Ejapa deal expose hasty decision. That story is on page 3. Merrill Lynch, one of the key advisors on the Ejapa deal, has shockingly projected higher gold prices by 2022, thus underscoring the need for Ghanaians to know how valuation of the royalties was done by the Akufo-Addo government for the Ejapa deal and the danger of under-evaluation. This means Ghana stands to gain more from existing arrangements without rushing into the controversial Ejapa deal as its present state.
Meanwhile, the Alliance of CSOs working on extractives, anti-corruption and good governance have described as unfortunate government's decision to proceed with the implementation of the Ejapa royalties agreement despite commencing engagement with the CSOs. A member of the Alliance, Dr. Steve Mantia, at a press briefing said critical questions still linger about the deal and its profitability to the nation. And then he quotes and says, for example, the Minister of Finance has stated that Ejapa's asset value of 1 billion approved by Parliament will not be the fair value that will be determined by the market. This is where appreciating the difference between net asset value and pure value become extremely important. And then he goes on to say that granted that the market will determine the fair value of the market, it's important for government to determine the appropriate net asset value for the market to consider what it deems fair. Therefore, if the asset is undervalued by a government itself, Ghana cannot expect the market to give a favorable valuation at the IPO. And then 6 other CSOs have joined the alliance in their campaign against the implementation of the deal. Wakam, Friends of the Nation, People's Project, Send Ghana, and GAC have also joined the campaign against the gold royalties agreement.
Right. Can we look at something serious that's affecting our fishing industry? Pirates intensify activities in Ghanaian waters. So Pirates of the Caribbean is a movie. Pirates in Ghanaian waters is reality. The increasing spate of pirate attacks in Ghanaian territorial waters on fishing vessels is forcing the local tuna industry to collapse as Korean vessel owners are threatening to deflag and relocate to Senegal with their craft. The insecurity has also led to the withdrawal of a Norwegian research vehicle that was conducting analysis in our waters. Another demotivating factor is the alleged astronomical vessel licensing fees being slapped on the fishing vessels. Information gathered by the Chronicle reveals that within a spate of 2 months, 2 Ghanaian flagged fishing vessels suffered pirate attacks. The Chronicle also told us that whereas in Ghana, these vessels are charged $135 for every gross weight ton of a fishing vessel. The same tonnage attracts $20 in Senegal. So the cost alone is deterring.
In fact, because of this, the Ghana Tuna Association is calling for government support. And this is a story on City Business News, basically reiterating the point you're making there. And they're saying that the pirate attacks are too many, the costs are too high, and government has to intervene to save their industry.
Well, there are some interesting stories in the BNFT today. So it looks like a new factory has opened here. The largest shea butter processing plant in Africa has opened in Tema. So that's on page 2. You can get the paper and read. And then if you go to page 3 of the same paper, nuclear energy.
I want some details of that.
Okay. All right. Bunge Loaders Crockland, the specialty oils and fats business of Bunge Limited, officially announces the opening of its state-of-the-art shea butter processing facility in Tema with the launch of the Where Life Grows campaign. The facility allows the company to support and empower local share communities through transferring knowledge of value-adding processes and by investing in local skills development.
Let's go to the north. NADMO is assessing the impact of the Bagre Dam spillage, which has also been affected by floods. So the story says the Upper East Regional Coordinator of the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, Jerry Asamani, says his outfit will liaise with the Ministry of Agric and Health, or ministries, to assess the impact of the recent floods in the Boku West District. Farmlands have been flooded all over, but for now we cannot quantify the size of farmlands affected. But as to how much acreage has been affected, we cannot determine now, because not until the water receipt will not be able to know. In the early hours of Monday, September 7, the water level of the White Volta Bridge at Kobori in the Boku West District rose over its limits, submerging hundreds of farmlands and washing away livestock. The bridge was flooded to waist level, covering over 1 kilometer stretch of land. And then the background is almost every year, floodwaters of the Bagre Dam are open, and this usually affects residents along the white and black voters in Ghana.
Now, just to add to that, looks like yesterday hundreds of private and commercial vehicles and commuters were stranded between Kubori in the Boku West District and Bazoa in the Binduri District of the Upper East region last Monday. Now, according to officials of NADMO, some stranded commuters, having lost patience, attempted to wade through the flooded road, thereby putting their lives at risk. And so, NADMO officials and policemen had to quickly move in to stop that.
There's a weird story here. Man jailed 10 years for stealing handbag containing 70 Ghana cedis. This is a story on citynewsroom.com.
Give me details.
An unemployed man, Prosper Joka, has been sentenced to 10 years in prison by an Accra Circuit Court for robbing a lady of a handbag containing 70 cedis and other personal effects attaché in Accra. Charged with robbery, Joka pleaded guilty and was remanded on July 16. Appearing at the court, the trial judge convicted Joka on his own plea. Prosecuting Inspector Eric Pobi said the complainant Gladys Ashi resided at Teshi, while Prosper also resided at Manette Tobinko Lane. And then on July 7 at 11:45 p.m., the complainant, who had closed from work, alighted from a bus stop at Teshi Ebenezer Junction. And then Joka he had armed himself with a knife, was lurking in the dark. Okay, so he's a dangerous guy. According to the prosecution, on seeing the complainant, ordered her to surrender her handbag or he would stab her with the knife for fear of her life. So the headline suggests that it was just 70 cedis, but this guy could have killed a woman.
Yeah. That is why the 10 years came.
So he's been, and to be fair, these kinds of things keep happening where people mug you, they take your personal effects, and sometimes they cut you just to take your phone or your bag. So this is supposed to serve as a deterrent.
As a deterrent.
A 10-year deterrent.
A 10-year, custodial sentence. Okay, just a quick one for Godfred. VAR coming to Ghana. Ghana Football. The Ghana Football Association, they've announced that they've commenced processes towards the implementation of video assistance review technology on the domestic scene. The GPL, Ghana Premier League, is expected to be the first beneficiary. Hey, VAR in Ghana.
We'll see how that works. Thank you, Kokui. Thank you, Godfred. That was the newspaper review. Coming up next is the City Business News.
Today, there are